In this video, you will learn about Lithuanian book smugglers. Lithuanian printed word made its first appearance in the middle of the 16th century when the first book in the Lithuanian language, Catechismus, written by Martynas Mažvydas, was published in 1547 in Königsberg. Since then, for more than 300 years, it was the safeguard of the language, culture, and national identity. In 1795, the third partition of the Lithuanian-Polish Commonwealth, which had lasted for 200 years, resulted in Lithuania being seized by Imperial Russia. 3 uprisings against Russia failed, and after the 1863 revolt, Russia decided to turn Lithuania into one of the provinces of the Russian Empire, Severozapadny Krai. The Polish-Lithuanian insurrection of 1863 convinced the Russian military and educators that Polish political and cultural influence was the main obstacle to successful Russian domination in Lithuania. The Cyrillic reform was intended to speed up the process of Lithuania's Russification. In 1864, the Governor-General of Lithuania, also known as the Hangman of Vilnius, Mikhail Muravyov, issued an administrative order forbidding the publication of Lithuanian textbooks in the Latin alphabet, a proclamation which led to a total ban on the Lithuanian press. Several Lithuanian books and primers were published in Cyrillic alphabet to be used in the new government rural schools, which replaced the Catholic parish school system. During the 40 years of the ban, there were about 200 books published in Cyrillic, commonly known as Grajdanka. Thus, not only was the liberty of the press denied to the nation, but all national movements striving to keep the national spirit and language alive were forbidden and the opposing ones deported to Siberia. Repressions had a devastating effect upon the Lithuanian people. Many of them were forced to leave their homeland. The press ban imposed in 1864 lasted for a period of 40 years and put the Lithuanian nation in danger of perishing. As the Lithuanian literature and the printed word was banned in Lithuania, it sought a new home in East Prussia, or so-called Lithuania Minor, now Kaliningrad region. From there, the books printed in Lithuanian characters were smuggled into Russia-occupied Lithuania. A large number of publications came from Plymouth, Shenandoah, and Chicago. Bishop of Samogitia Motiejus Valančius, the highest-ranking Catholic Church dignitary, is considered the initiator of the resistance against the Russification of Lithuania. It was not only that he established the first illegal organization which published books in Prussia, but also created a network of smugglers to smuggle those publications across the border. Moreover, he was writing primers for children himself and was encouraging Lithuanian women to learn reading that children could be taught by their mothers. Another known smuggler, a farmer, Jurgis Belinis, earned the title of King of the Book Smugglers. Today, Belinis is memorialized in many special ways. Every year, the Day of the Book Smuggler takes place on his birthday, 16th of March. The famous Lithuanian sculpture by Petras Rimša, Lithuanian School, 1864-1904, depicts the mother teaching her child to read from a Lithuanian book, which was then forbidden. The dog is guarding them, ready to warn them if unexpectedly the Russian soldiers would come. The book then would be hidden under the mother's long skirt, and she would just continue spinning. Alongside with mother's schools, farmers used to organize secret schools in their private homes. The folk teachers, also known as daraktori, would teach the children to read and some mathematics. The gendarmes persecuted those schools, and the farmers were heavily fined if the school was detected. It is not surprising that many women played a significant role in book smuggling. One of them was a folk teacher, also known as daraktorė Magdalena Bankaitė. During winters, she used to secretly teach children, while summers she spent as a member of book smugglers. She was shot several times, and after one encounter with gendarmes, she was exiled to Nizhny Novgorod. Nevertheless, after 3 years of the exile, she was back in the country, continuing her deeds. It is estimated that approximately 5.5 million copies of illegal books successfully crossed the border, During the 40 years of ban, approximately 500,000 printed copies were confiscated. Behind every book of that period, there is a story. Russian gendarmes and soldiers would open fire at the book smugglers, persecute them, put to prison, or exile them. In 1897, the police succeeded in breaking up the Lithuanian Secret Society of Book Smugglers, Setinas. 26 out of its 70 members were arrested and deported to Siberia. In every part of Lithuania, especially near the borders, book smugglers worked both in groups or separately, thus keeping conspiracy. The river Šiošupė is still referred to as the River of Book Smugglers. Only 5 to 6 meters wide, it had special crossing places known only to book smugglers. It was less dangerous to cross the border in summer and autumn, when it was difficult to detect the footprints. The best possibilities to spread illegal publications were during annual religious festivities, usually held for a week in various towns. The most popular place was Šilva, situated in the center of Samogitia. Documents witness that approximately 300 gendarmes and agents would patrol during those festivities. Still, hundreds of book smugglers managed to sell their illegal goods at the fairs. Eventually, the complete failure of the Cyrillic reform, the inability to control book smuggling, the rising tide of public protests proved that the press ban did not work. As the academic committee concluded in a special report in 1898, the press ban had produced completely unexpected results, namely the development of strong Lithuanian nationalism. The Governor-General urged the Tsar to lift the press ban. Paradoxically, it turned out that the press ban even had no legal basis. With the outbreak of the Russian-Japanese War and the revolutionary moods growing in Russia, the Tsar issued an order to lift the ban on Lithuanian publications in the Latin alphabet on April 24, 1904. The grandfather of the author of this story, Irena Kubilienė, was a book smuggler, who smuggled illegal publications across the border together with his father-in-law. In 1884, he was caught by the gendarmes and was imprisoned for half a year. The First World War made him and kids flee to Russia. When he returned to Lithuania in 1918, he managed to buy a small bookshop in Kaunas and kept that business until his death in 1937. Based on the archive documents from the Tsarist courts, it is estimated that approximately 2,000 book smugglers were caught and sentenced to various punishments. However, the real number of book smugglers is several times bigger. The nowadays Book Smugglers Society has compiled all data available, and a comprehensive directory of the Lithuanian book smugglers was published. It has over 7,000 names in it. Every year, on the 7th of May, Lithuania celebrates the end of the Tsarist ban that forbade the publishing and distribution of books in Lithuanian. It is the Lithuanian Press Restoration Language and Book Day. In 2004, book smuggling was recognized by UNESCO as a unique activity and a phenomenon distinctive only to Lithuania without equal in the world. Finally, the national rebirth that brewed during the book smuggling days would eventually culminate in the February 16, 1918, Declaration of the Lithuanian Independence.